just doing cardio is just burning water weight, right? The moment you stop doing that, the moment you stop being on treadmill, the moment you stop walking, the moment you stop doing cross trainers, and you come back home and it's gonna come back. Like, you're not building any muscle in your body, you're just literally burning water.
Now, take an example. Let's say I'm a middle-aged 34, 35, slightly obese woman whose, life is just happening and nothing is going
Mhm.
great for me. I have acne
Mhm.
and I don't feel great about myself. The
Mhm.
typical profile that comes to you.
Mhm.
Just describe us or explain us how the flow typically looks from your side. Like, what do you start with in terms of
Okay,
counseling and putting her on a practice?
makes sense. So, Vinod, I would first start with that particular woman having a conversation with her husband. Okay, because if she starts doing things by herself here and there, chances are that she won't be able to sustain it, right? So she has to have someone in her family that will back her up when she's taking care of herself. So I would always start with asking on the call itself that, oh hey, is your husband on board with what you're trying to do? And I would
Mm.
never ask this question to men though, that, oh hey, is your wife on board? Because most of the time they don't care. Okay, they're like, no, I want to do it for myself. But when I'm talking to a woman, I would just always bring this question up on the call that, oh hey, is your husband on board with what you're trying to do? Is your family on board with your with what you're trying to do? Do your kids know that you want to achieve a goal, or do you want to do something like that? So it would always start with having like an intentional conversation with someone in the family who can back her up when she's trying to achieve that. And number two, I would start with fixing her energy levels and sleep specifically, because again, like I mentioned, sleep is just connected to so many things. And then secondly, I would just start gradually. I would definitely get her blood work done, see what's wrong. Most of the times it's again B12, vitamin D, her iron levels, if she has PCOS, thyroid, all of that. So start with getting her blood work done, then eventually fix her energy, sleep, and then give her nutrition again that she could still follow in what's made in her family, but again in a more balanced, in a more calculated way. And then give her something, again, movement that fits her life. If she can go to the gym, sure. Otherwise, I'll just ask her to get a pair of dumbbell, or get a pair of resistance band at home, and just start working out at home, right? So the goal with any of those women would be to not put her on any kind of aesthetic goal, but just to build consistency with whatever she's doing. So if she's gonna eat protein for breakfast, make sure she does that with consistency. If she's going to work out only 3 times per week at home with resistance band, make sure she does that with consistency, right? So goal is to make her do anything with consistency rather than putting her on any hard and fast aesthetic goal. So
Fixated
that is,
plan.
yeah, so that is how I would like to go with that.
Got it. And specifically, you mentioned something about sleep and blood work. I want to understand this a little bit. So, what specifically are you looking for in the blood work of a typical woman profile who came to you? And how are you trying to fix her sleep?
Correct. So, sleep, see, most of the times sleep is because now we're watching reels or we're watching content. And when that screen, the phone screen, is in front of your eyes right before you're about to go to sleep, it will just signal to your brain that, oh, I'm not ready to fall asleep yet. And even if you keep your phone, sorry, it will take about an hour or so for you to fall asleep. That is number one. And there is a high chance, because we don't have any self control, so in that 1 hour when you're trying to fall asleep again, you're like, no, oh, I can't fall asleep, you'll pick up your phone again and start watching content, right? So that is the case with most of us. So if we just stop doing that right now, um your sleep is going to be fixed. Number two, make sure you don't immediately go to sleep right after you've had your dinner. Make sure there's some gap. If
Mm-hmm.
you can go for a 20-30 minute walk post your dinner, that would be the best thing, because again, your body has now relaxed and you're a little tired. Just put your phone in a different room or under the pillow and just go to sleep. Number three, supplement if you can. Magnesium glycinate again is a very nice supplement for sleep. Ashwagandha KSM 66 is a great supplement for sleep. Number four, most of the days now, most of everyone has like these sleep trackers, Whoop, or Fitbits or Apple Watches. So track your sleep, see where you're waking up, see where your REM sleep, which is the rapid eye movement, is not good, and then see again check for one of these markers again if you're on your phone. Supplement if you're taking creatine. I think creatine, again, you would agree, is the best supplement out there for your brain health, not only for your muscle health,
Yeah.
muscle brain health as well. So see if you can supplement, take care of. Again, in terms of blood work, I would look for vitamin B12, D again and again, iron, HbA1c, cholesterol, these kinds of things, for any genders, right? And when I say sleep messes up everything, so what usually happens is we have two hunger hormones, ghrelin and leptin, right?
Mm-hmm.
Leptin signals that you're full, so it
Yeah.
suppresses that, and ghrelin signals that you're hungry, so it spikes that, right? So your mind is not making any logical decisions, but it's just reaching out for something that it's comfortable with, right? Because that's, at the end of the day, that's what your brain wants to do. It just wants to be comfortable in anything that you do in life. Again, in terms of your health, in terms of your wealth, in terms of your relationships, everything that it has to do is just be comfortable, right? So you will obviously give into that, oh, I'm Maggie's there, biscuit is there, right? Because your brain wants to be comfortable, it wants the cheap dopamine, so it will just reach out for the most comfortable thing if your sleep is messed up and you're just not in a very high focus mode. And yeah, that's just, then it's the downhill spiral keep happening. You give into your cravings, blah blah blah, and so on and so forth.
It's very fascinating that you actually started from sleep gaps and what kind of bad habits people have post dinner. And then you went into neural connections and dopamine. So, what I specifically want to ask you, Sanya, is what are the options for people, right? Let's say I'm the person who had my food at 8:30 and then
Mm-hmm,
I'm struggling to go to sleep. That's what we
mm-hmm,
are trying to fix.
mm-hmm,
And this man or woman who's scrolling on the phone watching reels
mm-hmm.
knows that it is bad for them, keeps the phone down, tries to go to sleep, but can't sleep. And then again, you said they pick up the phone. Why do they do that? What are the options? Like, what can they do? What else can they do to avoid picking up the phone and then put them to sleep?
You know, I will give you one solution to this, that keep your phone in a different room, because most of the times we're just lazy human beings, and I told you we want to be comfortable. Put
Yeah.
it on charge in a different room. There is a high chance that you're not going to get up and go to a different room and pick it up and use it. Okay, that is number two. That is number one. Number two is, again, supplement if you can. Check for your blood work. See if you can consume magnesium glycinate. See if you can have creatine, because these things really help, right? So yeah, this is the first thing that I actually tell them, that keep your phone in a different room when you're going to sleep. If you keep it under your pillow, there's a high chance you will just pick it up and start using it, right? Keep it in a different room. And I also like tell this is like completely off topic, but they also tell me that, oh, I keep snoozing my alarm and that messes up with my sleep and all of that. And so I just tell them that, put your alarm 6 a.m. and then just keep it somewhere far away, because when your alarm rings, you'll have to actually go get up and go snooze it or go shut it down, right? So just keep your phone far away from yourself, because most of the times we're just lazy human beings, and just the idea of just getting up and going to a different room and just doing something is hard, right? So just keep your phone away from your sleeping place or your bed or your pillow.
You kind of preempted me because I was about to steal your dialogue to say that, use your own laziness against yourself by keeping
Yeah,
the phone away. So that's a
yeah,
perfect way to that.
yeah.
So you've been a great proponent of strength training. I've seen a lot of your tweets and articles on Economic Times too, where you say dance is fine, Zumba is fine, yoga is great. There's no complaint. It's good for you, good for your vascular stretching, whatever. But you always said that you're missing something out on if you don't do resistance training, particularly if you're a woman. Explain why.
Okay, so see, number one is strength is just in general, forget strength training. Strength and being powerful and having strength in you as a woman is just very, very important, right? Women are uh weak in general, because again we have less testosterone in us. That's number one. Number two, after the age of 30, bones become weak. The osteoporosis is very high in women. And like I said, after 30, you lose 1% muscle mass per year. right? So that's like by the time you're 50, 20% of your muscle mass is gone, right? So that is number one. What was your question again? Sorry, why is it important, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, like I said, 20% of your muscle mass is gone, and apart from all the aesthetic goals, or apart from all the aesthetic benefits that you're going to get when you weight train, it's also a metabolic activity. So it protects you, it protects your bones, it protects again you against the insulin resistance, and also it just makes you strong overall and makes you confident in your own self that, oh hey, I did not know I could do that. And the kind of effect that it has on your mental health, that, oh hey, I did not know I was capable of this. And then it kind of puts you with that confidence that, oh, if I can do this, I don't know what else can I do, right? So that is why I think it's very, very important for women to kind of strength train. And again, not to forget all the medical and health benefits that it's going to give you. Again, your blood work is going to be right. You're going to be eating better. You're going to be sleeping better, and all of that is just going to make you a better person. Again, in terms of your life, in terms of your relationships, or your life in terms of your wealth or your personal life, you being able to do more things. Like I think if speaking about myself, if I was not a fit person and not so confident in myself, like I'm a solo traveler, right? Like I travel every other month, and I've traveled quite a few countries just myself. I think if I was not that person, I would have never had the confidence to solo travel all of these countries, right? So I think the kind of confidence that it will build in you, to the fact that, oh, if I'm able to do this, I don't know what else am I capable of, right? So even if you leave all of those blood work, insulin resistance, metabolic activity, osteoporosis, muscle mass, the kind of confidence that it's going to build in you as a woman will change your life forever.
So that brings me to a very interesting story. I'll probably ask about your own transformation, right? At what age did you think strength training is important for you? And how did it change your perspective of life about yourself?
So, Vinod, I started strength training right after school because I was an overweight kid myself, and I come from a Punjabi family, and all I did my entire life was eat, right? And I think somewhere, subconsciously, I was just not happy in myself. Like in school, like even out of fun, if somebody would say, "Oh, moti, moti," people don't realize it, but it hurts you, right, on the
Mm.
inside, and you don't want to be called that. So I think right after school, I started exercising at home. I just wanted to see what can I do for myself. Again, no knowledge whatsoever. I just started doing something at home, from YouTube and all of that. And as a result, because I kept on doing that, I did lose some weight, right? I used to go cycling, and I used to do some exercises here and there. I did lose some weight, and there's no big motivator than seeing results in yourself. So I was like, oh, okay, I did it myself, I can maybe do more. But again, that was a little turning point, because I just got too obsessed with it, and I started, because again, I did not have any knowledge. So I kind of started starving myself, and I was like, okay, I've lost this weight, I've lost this weight, maybe I can lose more. Right. And so I think I started starving myself, and that is the time when I got this disorder called anorexia nervosa, wherein you starve yourself and all of that. But again, in my case, I was lucky it was diagnosed early, because my mom comes from the same field. She's in the psychology field, right? And so it was diagnosed early, and then I was put into therapy, and then XYZ. It was just resolved early. So I was just lucky on that side. And that's when I think I was put into a gym. I started strength training. I got myself a coach. I started competing, like powerlifting. I started doing deadlift, squat, and I started lifting pretty heavy. And then I think I was just like too deep into it to not pursue it as my career. And that's when, I started studying about it. I was also doing psychology at the time, my bachelor's in psychology, because, like I mentioned, my mom comes from the same field. And so I was also doing psychology, but I was like, okay, I'm so interested in this field. I'm just like too deep into it to not pursue it as my career. So that's when I started with my certifications, ISSA, INFS. I cleared those. And yeah, that's how all of this started.
So these courses you did in parallel to doing your bachelor's in
Yeah,
psychology.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yes,
Phenomenal,
yes.
phenomenal. I think, Sanya, this is something a lot of women who come to you, or even if they're watching you, they might want to know, right? You mentioned about your own story, I think, which can be very inspirational for a lot of women who want to look good and get better in life. we all know that if you try to change, it's going to take a lot of time for you to actually start seeing a little bit of result. It's not 1 month, it's not 2 months, it's at least 3 to 6 months for the beginner results also to show up. So I want you to explain or kind of elucidate
Mhm.
what kind of mindset people go through during that phase in which actually they're working hard, they're doing something, but nothing is actually showing up because they go to the mirror, look at themselves naked, nothing has changed, right? Now, I'm sure you've gone through that. Tell me how people can navigate and stick through the journey to kind of cross and start seeing some greenery.
Correct. So, Vinod, I'm just gonna start with this with saying that not just months, but it's gonna take years, especially as a woman, to see any kind of muscle growth. And when women say that, oh, I'm gonna get bulky, I say I wish. It's been so many years, but I wish, right? Because it's very difficult in women versus men, right? Number two, when somebody is going through that, I feel that most of us are just fixated on scale these days, that oh hey, I lost 2 kgs, but I gained 1 kg today, I gained 1 kg yesterday, blah blah blah, right? But they don't realize that most of that is just water weight, because if you don't uh it's just not easy to either lose or gain weight. It's not a matter of days time, right? It takes again months, like you said, right? So I would just ask them to not be fixated on the scale, versus actually check for if they're feeling good energy wise, if their clothes are becoming loose. Also sometimes it becomes difficult because you see yourself in the mirror every single day, right? So it kind of becomes difficult to see that process for yourself. So number one is definitely going to be, don't be too fixated on the scale. Number two is, again, like I said in the conversation that we have earlier, have someone to back up for you, like your husband, your friend, your parents, somebody to motivate you, or somebody to tell you that oh hey, no, results are showing up and you're working hard and you're doing great, and just somebody that you trust and somebody who's close to you, just to motivate you and keep you going, right? Number three, now, to hold this longer, I would say it again, that you would have to make this your identity, something that people associate with you, that when I'm going to see this person, I know that they're working on a health goal, and I know that I cannot offer them something because they're not going to eat it. Like, right, for example, in my family now, when I go out somewhere, for example, if I'm going to my grandparents' place, or to my, for example, yesterday there was a dinner at my Masi's place. And because I've just made that my identity, they would be like, "Ki, oh, we have these options, but I know you're not going to eat that. So I made this for you." Right? Or oh hey, I know you're not gonna eat it, so these are the options for you. So you will have to make that your identity, that I am this person who works out, who takes care of my health, who eats my protein, or who takes care of my sleep. So if I'm in a party, I don't care, I'm going home at 11 p.m, because that is, because everything at the end of the day comes down to a choice that you make for yourself, that what is more important to you, drinking alcohol and partying at this point, or just having a better sleep and not spoiling the next 2 days in hangover for yourself. So everything just boils down to a choice that you make for yourself, that do I want to eat this ice cream now, and or do I want to and feel terrible later because this is like cheap dopamine for me, or is this actually my identity, that oh hey, no, I'm a healthy person and I just do that on occasionally, and not something I do that every day. So just making that your identity, that I am this person who takes care of my health, and this is something that I would not want for myself. So I think, yeah, that is something that will keep you going for a long period of time.
Okay, if I have to summarize what you said, the three aspects people have to look at when they are part of this journey. One is
Mhm.
create the identity or define your identity. Have an accountability partner, somebody, spouse, friend, anybody, or a coach who is
Correct.
rooting for you and telling you that you're on the right path,
Correct.
to be so that you're consistent and then you can get towards the result.
Correct.
The other thing that you mentioned was don't look at the scale because it
Yeah.
fluctuates and there's a lot of water weight.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I know this can be a little confusing for a lot of people who don't know about the constitution of the body.
Mhm.
Um, would you be able to kind of explain what are the components of the body that adds to the weight, and what is this water weight or the carb loaded weight that
Correct.
kind of fluctuates on a daily basis? What should they be
Correct.
actually tracking?
Correct. So they should be A. to start with the second question, they should be tracking their measurements mostly and how the clothes are fitting. That's number one. In terms of water weight, so a lot of
Mm-hmm.
things actually constitute to water weight. So with every 1 gram of carbohydrate that you eat, that holds like 3 ounces of water in your body, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So आप कुछ whatever carb is it that you will eat, again, doesn't matter healthy carbs, unhealthy carbs, even if you eat roti, rice, that is still carbohydrates at the end of the day, right? So that will hold water in your body. But if you're on a caloric deficit, you will not gain weight, but it will still hold water in your body, because that's just how it works, because the name suggests carbohydrates,
Hide.
right? So yeah, right. So that is something that will happen, and with your weight will fluctuate because of that. But again, that is something that you cannot be fixated on. Number two, again, if your sleep will not be fixed, your cortisol, which is the stress hormone, that will go up, and the function of cortisol again is to hold water in your body. So again, the weight will go up, right? So that is what I mean when I say water weight. So stress and carbohydrates, again, and carbohydrates coming from India, again, everything has carbohydrates, right? So you will always, also in women, the menstrual cycles, right, that will, again, you will have some kind of water holding, some kind of bloating in your body, right? So if you will always be emotionally connected to the weighing scale, and still, and always react on the basis of how the scale is performing, you will never be able to reach your goal, right? So that is what I mean when I say water weight.
So instead, you recommend that they use a maybe an inch tape just to measure their waist or hip. Would that be a better
Yeah,
marker of how they
yeah,
are
yeah,
progressing?
yeah. The in measurements, and measurements taken once per week, first thing in the morning, and again, how the clothes are fitting overall.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Got it. I think that's great. And for women who are not used to strength training, whether either going to the gym or let's say even at home, when you said you'll ask them to buy a pair of dumbbells and resistant bands to start with, right? Um, do you is there a kind of a hesitancy in women in particular to actually go for strength training, and how do you convince them that they have to do it if they have to make progress in life?
See, these days, I'm going to be honest, when I try to tell women that they have to strength train, they agree. There's no hesitancy now. It's just the lack of awareness. It's just that
Hmm.
they know, subconsciously, they know that the yoga, Zumba, dancing thing might not work out for them, and they have to still go to the gym and strength train for themselves at the end of the day. It's not the hesitancy, but it's the lack of awareness or lack of knowledge, that we will train, but we just don't know the structure, and we just don't know how to. So yeah, I wouldn't call it hesitancy, but lack of awareness and lack of knowledge.
Got it. Because one of the articles that I read that you had published on Twitter recently was you were specifically exhorting women to do resistance training in parallel to cardio activities and not just do only cardio to lose weight. So, what I see even in the society that I live in with has about 12,000 plus people, about 300 people go to the gym on a daily basis out of 12,000 people. That's the number you're looking at. And I would say about 30% of them are women too, right? And the age categories, again, what you mentioned, maybe mostly 30s. And I see a lot of early 40s and mid 40 women coming there. Now, but predominantly a lot of them are just into cardio, running, and Zumba. Why is that inefficient way to get fitter or lose weight or lose fat? And can you
Correct.
also differentiate between losing weight and losing fat?
Losing weight and losing fat. Okay. So, firstly, again, I would like to start with lack of awareness, lack of knowledge. All the women are on treadmill, cross trainers, stairmaster, because they don't know what to do, or they're just too shy to ask for help. Number two is when you're doing cardio, sorry, when you're doing cardio, you're just burning empty calories, you're burning water in your body, right? Because again, either you're running or you're walking on the treadmill, that's just burning water weight. When you actually strength train, and when you're actually doing cardio, you're just burning calories. If I talk science wise, you're just burning calories in the moment, on the spot, right? Versus
Hmm.
when you actually weight train, when you actually strength train and you break your muscle, you're also burning calories on rest. When you come back home, give it food, recover. So you're burning calories on rest as well, right? So that is number one. What was the other question, sorry?
So I was asking about what's the, let's say, downside to people who want to lose weight versus fat, and specifically restricting themselves only to cardiovascular exercises
Correct.
versus
Correct.
strength training? Yeah.
Correct. So the simple answer to this is, we know that again, just doing cardio is just burning water weight, right? The moment you stop doing that, the moment you stop being on treadmill, the moment you stop walking, the moment you stop doing cross trainers, and you come back home, and it's going to come back. Like, you're not building any muscle in your body, you're just literally burning water in your body, and it is going to come back as you eat, as you and don't get me wrong, walking is great. I once posted on X that, oh hey, walking is not an exercise, walking is just something, and then it did like millions of views, and people were like, no, hey, no, walking is exercise, blah blah blah. So I'm not saying that, oh, walking is bad for you, but it's literally just burning water weight in your body, and as you come back home, as you eat more food, as you eat more carbohydrate, it's going to come back. That's the simple answer to it, right? So yeah, I guess just that.
Yeah. So there is this science that I've read. I mean, I want you to, of course, share your expert view on that. That if people do only cardio, like you said, there's a loss of water weight and some calories. But I've generally observed that people who are doing only cardio, whether male or female, I see that they've lost their shape a little bit if they are particularly not into weight training. I can see the difference between, let's say, a 100-meter sprinter versus, let's say, the endurance athlete who runs a marathon, for example, right? Who doesn't probably sin train. Can you explain why that happens? Like, why do people lose their form and shape if they are only doing cardio exercises?
um Actually, to be honest, I've not seen that happening a lot. When we talk about endurance athletes, they're actually just not running. Running is just a part of their sport, but to practice that and to be able to build that stamina, they actually do. They might not necessarily do traditional weight training, but the CrossFit, the clean presses, jerks, and the training that they do involve, some kind of muscle training, strength training. So running is their sport. Running marathons or doing races is their sport, but to be able to build that stamina, to be able to get there, they're not just running, they're actually training, and training with intensity, and training a lot, not to forget, to be able to do what they're doing. And I think people shrink again because they're still burning calories, and there's this negative energy balance, because again, it's science. If there's negative energy balance, you will lose weight out of your body, right? But again, you're still, most of what you're losing is again muscle and some fat. I would not say no fat, but most of what you're losing is still muscle, right? Because you're burning calories, you're not still in a negative energy balance, right? But again, like I said, that is nothing sustainable. As you stop doing that, it's all gonna come back. And also, not to forget, when you're just doing cardio and losing weight, you're still not building any strength or still not building any muscle for yourself, right? So that is still never a win.
Got it. Perfect. Sanya, I think we had listed on a lot more to cover today, but I think we've had a very deep dive into just one gender and we went very deep into it. But that gives us the scope for us to do a lot more in the next session that we speak about. We're going to talk about the corporate lifestyle breakdown, exercise reality checks, and the frameworks or the core
Correct.
pillars for the corporate athlete method. So before I leave, one last question that is I was very curious about. You mentioned about 4 observations when you went to Japan sometime earlier last year or this year, right? And you said you saw men who take care of skin, hair, etc., and it was not kind of gendered. So I think just share some views on why that is so. Why should men take care of themselves?
um Yeah, Japan is like my favorite country in this world because of just the way they are. I'm going again next month, so I'm looking forward to that. I've already been there twice. I think taking care in general in Japan, like for men, there's skincare for them, there's like different things that they do for themselves. And I think in India, we've just kind of made that as a taboo that, no, men don't do skincare, or men don't take care of their hair or XYZ. And why not? Like, why not? It would just, my question is, why not? Like, it's just, when a man would want to do that, they would just like automatically default to the fact that, oh, this is not something that we do in India. Again, it comes back to your identity that this is not something that we do already, right? But my question is, why not? Like, if you look better, if you feel better, if your skin is better, if your health is better, if your hair is better, all you're going to do is be more confident person. And if you're a confident person, you're definitely going to give more in terms of your health, in terms of your wealth, in terms of your relationships, in terms of your personal life, right? So if at the end of the day just taking care of yourself leaves you being a more confident and a better person, why not? But again, in India, it's just that thing that is there, right? That, oh, men don't do skincare, men don't do that. And but versus it was totally different in Japan. Like there were like shops, and I saw men like shopping for their skincare, for their health, and they would like take care of themselves. They would have their nails done and all of that. And I was like, why not in India? So if it's leaving you feeling a more confident or a more better person, why not?
I think it does. I think just that I think the Gen Z is probably more prone towards taking care of themselves better than what people of our generation used to. But you're right. I think it gives us a lot of confidence in a world where that is quite low for a lot of men today.
Hmm.
Great, Sani. I think we've had a wonderful discussion, a lot of new insights which are very useful to people who are trying to change, mostly for people who've lost hope in their life. I think that's the important part that we have to bring out, that life just happens to you. But if you want to change, make a change for yourself. There are people like Sanya who can guide you into becoming the person that you want to, right? And then obviously she can be your accountability partner. So reach out to her. She's on X as well, but we'll be talking to her soon, maybe in the next couple of weeks, for the next session on what does it mean to be a middle-aged corporate athlete man who's broken in life, who's drinking, who doesn't know how to recover. That's what we're going to talk about, apart from other methods to improve our own lives. Cheers. Thank you so much.
Thank you
Sanya,
for
thanks
having
a
me,
lot. You have
Vinod.
a great Sunday.
You too, Vinod. Take care. Bye.
Cheers
Thank you for
then.
having
Bye
me.
bye.
Bye. Bye.